So again, like I said, this is Miss P here from Mid Knowledge Institute. And for our Real Talk segment today, something that's been bothering me for a good little bit is when I was in corporate America, like there was a lot that happened, right? And pretty much it's like when you were growing up, you heard that phrase all the time from like your Grammy and them. People would say, hey, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Where in corporations, if you're a close-knit group, you do the same thing. You protect each other and you just don't talk about the other things that can be misconstrued or seen as a negative outlay for anyone that's asking, right? And the crazy part is we used to have these things in the government where they would do like a round table, like someone would come from like Washington, D.C. and they want to ask the deep dive questions because they want to get to the bottom of anything. If you feel as an employee, there's things that should be different, right? That would make your life better. So they would ask questions. And really, when you would raise your hand and you thinking they want you to answer truthfully, if you began to answer truthfully, you would realize quickly the energy in the room would change because that's not actually what they wanted to know. They wanted to know the good, not the good, the bad, and the ugly. And which that was confusing to me, especially as a new private at first, because I kept thinking, well, what's the point of coming to ask the question if you really don't want to know the truth? Like Humphrey Bogart's phrase in that movie. You can't handle the truth. It's like, come on. So for me, what's been bothering me as of late, we've been in and out of hospitals, right, with our youngest son because, again, many of you may or may not know, but he's on a feeding tube, meaning he doesn't get any nourishment into his body except for something that comes out of a bag, and we hook it into this G-tube button, and it gives him nourishment that way. And that has been a sore spot for us because our baby boy was an amazing eater, even though he's on the spectrum, and he's a picky eater, but he liked things like Brussels sprouts and broccoli and, lots of veggies, and meat had to be pretty tender for him to even want to waste time having that. He did like fried chicken though. But when the thing happened at the school district in Grand Prairie and all the traumas occurred there, he just stopped, So it's been more than a year that our son has not had solid food pass his lips, and go across his teeth to his mouth. But I'm not even going to get into any of that because that trauma was already bad enough. And we went all the way through everything from talking to the assistant principal that was in charge of the SPED program, going from there talking to the SPED director, going from talking to the SPED director, reporting it to TEA, and then getting a lawyer involved. Like there was a lot that went on with it. And in our head, we kept thinking, how does this happen to a kid in the SPED department? And then we dug a little deeper because our anguish was, how does this happen to any child, right? How does this happen to any child? Because you send your kid to school for them to be safe, for them to be taught, for them to experience good things in an environment that is safe for them, right? And it's for them to teach them things that you don't know. And unfortunately, instead of our son getting that when we transfer, because where we were in Austin, in the Manor ISD district, it was amazing. Like, it wasn't like they didn't have any hiccups, but every time there was something, we all worked together as a true transdisciplinary team to get him where he needed to be. And he was thriving there. But medically, where we lived wasn't really a safe place because in the environment, there was a lot of other things that were going on that were feeding into his body that was hurting him. And then my husband's stuff as a veteran, they found other things wrong with him. And we needed to relocate to an area where he can be safe and he can get his transfusions and our grown daughter could take him because I couldn't. My doctor's like, no, don't be driving your husband's car if your seizure happened and you're there and it's just going to not be good for nobody. So we didn't do that. We moved closer to her. So that meant a completely different school district. And so we trusted them, with our son. We even emailed his IEP months in advance so they could tell us from the district level what the best school was. I say all that to say this. Trauma and things happen in life, right, for each and every one of us every day. And lifes. And there isn't anything you can do with lifing, right? And for me, I thought when my mentor, and I'm telling you, our Jennifer Giants is amazing because she actually warned me back in November. She said, I need you to be prepared because the bigger your dream is, the bigger the goal is that you have in your heart of hearts that burns in your soul that you got to get out your bones and share, with the world to help people, whatever it looks like. The larger, the greater it is. the more that's going to come on you. You know, I grew up, remember my grandma saying that the devil will come at you from so many spaces, from 7 different directions to get to you, right? But I never imagined in her words when she said in November that those words from my grandma would ring true at the same time with her in unison. That it meant that it was going to come at me in a space, in a place with such fierceness that it was going to hit something that was the closest to me, our baby boy. You know, he is amazing. He is smart. He is like when he gets in that mode and he's like thriving and vibing with you, you can see the smile and the love on his face. And it's a beautiful thing to see because initially when we saw the autism start, showing up, he didn't really like eye contact. He didn't like people. You couldn't get close to him. We couldn't even hug or touch him. But in the moments that I get to hug him and hold him close, my heart, my soul smiles. I don't know if as a parent, if any of you have experienced that, but I'm sure many of you have. And so when I say all of that, I'm talking about getting to that place where your heart is in pain, but then you have to rise out of those ashes like the phoenix and say, okay, wait, enough. Even though that is happening, my goal is still here. My fire is still here. I am still burning for the people I want to help and get to that place from where they are now. See, because I have all my own disabilities, right? I have all my own stuff. And see, it took me years to get to the place where I could get on a plane and I did not require my magic pill, as my kiddos call it. Really, it's Ativan, but it's what I need to have. Well, I used to need for my brain to shut off, for me to be to fly anywhere. And the thing is, that's crazy. I used to love to fly. I always wanted to have enough money to go wherever I wanted to go, when I wanted to go there. And so when I got into government, I had a dream job, and I'm working these 10, 12-hour days, and I'm helping other veterans like me, and I'm rocking and rolling, and I'm feeling good. Every day that I went there, I felt like that. But then those 10, 12-hour days began to affect everything about my heart and my congestive heart failure, everything about me having the stroke, everything about me having the seizures. Everything that was affecting me began to go like that, right? So when I'm talking about corporate America and knowing that I want to help corporations understand that burnout is real and that it begins to transcend not in just mental and emotional things, it begins to affect your employees physically. And it may begin to affect you as a director or a CEO of a company the same way, but you don't see it. It kind of creeps up on you. See, because when the stroke happened, I was literally sitting behind my computer, typing into a system that we had to learn that allowed us to pay our veterans. And I would stay late so I can get all the payments in because I knew my veterans had mortgages to pay, right? They had car notes to pay. They had tuition to pay for their kiddos. I didn't want any of that missing or being late and it be on my watch. See, if it was delayed somewhere else and their bank was holding on to it for it to clear, it had nothing to do with me. I just need to make sure that on my end, I did everything in my power to take care of them. So that meant late hours, right? Because it didn't fit in all day. It couldn't work in the regular day because in the regular day schedule, I had veterans scheduled to come into my office. And then sometimes they need additional help, where as a counselor, I would see them and their spouses during my lunch break or after hours or before work. Because my whole goal was, how can I holistically help them? Because at the end of the day, it's not just your job description that you do. Most of you know that. If you care about what you're doing in corporate America, or like our topics are going to be next week in hospitals, you're there not because of the check. You're there for the people that you love, that you will back to health, that you put in those steps to make sure that their medicine is in their room every day, that everything that they need helps them get a little better each day. And you're there with a smile. And sometimes you may have literally been crying when you got out your car before you went up the elevator to even go into the clinic area that you work in. See, I've been there too. See, because before I retired, that's where I was. I worked in one of our hospital clinics for the VA. Even though I was a voc rehab counselor, we were there because we wanted at least the way our director explained it to us, for our veterans to not have to travel as far, all the way to Waco, because we were VBA. But being at the hospital level or at the clinic level, we were mixing with the VHA section. And it was great because my veterans didn't no longer have to travel all the way to Waco to see me. I was right there. They could come to a doctor's appointment and then come downstairs and see me. And it was great. because now we're all in one place, like one-stop shopping, so to speak. And so I love that part because I had some vets that didn't even want to get off my caseload. When I transferred from Fort Hood, they wanted to stay on my caseload. So they would drive from Fort Hood, from the Killeen area, all the way to Austin, where I was located. And to me, that made me feel so good because they were that comfortable with me that they didn't mind the drive, right? So why would you not do all in your power for your people who are there for you like that, right? But at the end of the day, when it came time for me to remind myself that I needed to be there for me, I was not there for myself. So when my health began to fail and the burnout was real, right? And the overwork was real because I would be in the office Saturdays and Sundays, especially at Hood because we had a portable we were in. I already had a ID to get on post, so I didn't have to wait for anything like that. When I transferred to Austin, it was mainly Saturdays. You really couldn't go in on a Sunday because the gate was locked and there was no security that would open up for you on a Sunday. So that didn't really happen like that. But working all the time, diligently, being dedicated, I thought that was the drive and the right thing I was supposed to do. Not counting the cost, the true cost. See, because there were times I went to work, it was dark and my youngest was sleeping when he was little, And then there are times where I was at work so long, by the time I came home, he was getting ready for bed and it was already dark. You understand? So I was gone for most of his younger life, But I'm living the dream. This is what I felt in my head. I'm living the dream. So in this Real Talk segment, what I'm sharing with you guys is what it felt like for me when I was transitioning out of corporate America. Not because I wanted to, but because now I had to. And so I don't want that for anyone. I know there's tools that you guys will be able to put in place. And I'm going to share those next week about that because it's strategically, if you put things in place, like in the military, we had prepared readiness training. And the reason we did that is because we want to be prepared for just in case something happened. For the same reason you have car insurance, for the same reason you have health insurance, for you when you go to the doctor, the same reason you have, insurance for death, because you want to be prepared just in case. And so that's my goal, to make sure that I'm sharing that part with hospitals, because right now where we are, it's getting pretty bad. Hospitals are losing really good nurses and medical practitioners and medical people, period, in droves. See, because the 95% that the HR is talking about, that these companies, hospitals or corporations, just like any other corporation, like Pepsi or Coke, right? They're losing good employees in droves because, why? Burnout is real. It affects people at a level 95% of the time, is what the HR departments are saying. Across the board. That's pretty bad. And technically, it's actually a worldwide issue that burnout is real. But we can get in front of that. That's the reason why I came over here to tell you that. We can get in front of that. I said everything I just said to tell you, yes, I know how bad it can get. Yes, I know that life's. But there are things we can put in place to prepare ourselves, our mental toughness, right? Our emotional strength, our perspective, we can change. See, because no one gets to choose how we believe and think about something. No one does. Only we do. I learned a long time ago from Bob Proctor. He would say all the time, it's your paradigm, it's your paradigm, it's a paradigm. And your paradigm is only just what you have begun to believe over time because of these habits that you have. But you can break them. But it can't be done in the way when you think of the word break, because break sounds like something forceful, right? What he was explaining all those years ago, like in 2015, was you need to get into flow so then that way you can replace it. So then that way, you weren't trying to pull the bad habit to get rid of the bad habit. You weren't doing anything like that. Because inertia is simple. You push up against something, it's only going to work harder to stay ingrained. But if you get in flow, if you prepare yourself, prepare readiness, then no matter what's coming at you, you are girded up, right? You got your strength. It's that part when you remember, I don't know, I like Marvel a lot. So when new Marvel movies come out, we go. But there's a part when Angela Bassett in, Wakanda Forever, she rears her shoulders back and she gets ready and she stands tall. And then she says the phrase in front of the court, in front of the board. And you feel the sheer power from her words, from her speech. You can tell where she's pulling from as a woman. And it was just beautiful to watch. I could watch it over and over again because I feel that way every day when I get in front of my mirror and I get my mind right. I call it doing my mirror work. See, because if I don't gird myself, I have a bad day. My mind don't work right. And I don't get things done. I'm not productive. I'm delayed. And then I feel like, well, where did my day go? So, see, I'm here to share with you that I know for a fact more than 15, 20 years that I've been putting in the work to get me where I was trying to go here and here. That it's paid off for me. See, because now, because I just came back from Atlanta, and I assure you, I felt so empowered going, because as I touched the plane when I was getting on, I said my mantra, and I was empowered on the plane. I didn't take that magic pill that my children call it. I didn't take my Ativan to be able to fly. So it's a good thing for me that I know it's working. It can be a good thing for you. See, because every single one of us have known the right things, the best things to do at a point in time in our life. And we, myself included, have still chosen to do the wrong thing. And see, there's no one to blame when we do that. And so all I'm here to do is share from now on every day. Share a nugget, share a tidbit, share something that I know. I've seen work for other veterans, seen work for other corporate employees, seen work for hospital staff. So in that way you can be strengthened, you can be girded up, you can stand tall, roll your shoulders back, and look like the powerhouse that you are, knowing that you know that you got this, no matter what life is bringing. Well, that's all I got to say about all of that. That was my honest share for today, or transformative tidbit. And no holds bars. I wasn't saying I was going to come over here and start cursing out a whole bunch of people. I just wanted to let you know what it's like to be scared enough where a pill is required for you to move through your day to get things done. And I know as a veteran, there's a lot of medication that they throw at us. And at the end of the day, some of us don't want all those. And if you're one of those people, just know every day I'll come over here and I'll share another tool that I put in place. But mantras work. They do. And getting girded up and changing what your perspective is, it works too. So just know we'll talk more about that next week also. And our whole focus will be what can be different and better for hospital staff. So we can keep more of the good ones. See, because we go to the hospital 3-4 times a week. Because our son has lots of specialists. He's at Children's Health in Dallas. And he has a urologist. He has a gastroenterologist, or someone in gastro is the person that he sees. Then he has a surgery team, and then he has like speech and OT. But all these people have to see him on a regular basis. And then he's on a waiting list for the RFID program. And RFID stands for Avoidant Food Restrictive Intake Disorder, because that's what happened after the trauma in Grand Prairie ISD. And like I said, it's been more than a year. But we're looking forward to being in their program when they open up a spot. He also has a psychiatrist now. And he's helping him get ready so he can be in a better place when he does get that spot open in the RFID program. See, we're doing all that we can think of that these specialists tell us, because we want him back eating, right? Once he learns that his perspective, that his power is all within him, that right here, he controls how he's feeling. He'll take back, or better yet, he'll get into flow, where now he understands that he is now safe and he is now sound. And then no one gets to take that power from him ever again. Ever, ever again. And so we'll keep working on what we're working on with him. But I digress with all that. This is Miss P here saying thank you guys for listening. If you have any comments or you ever had lifing for you, and it made you think that it wasn't time for you to shine and walk into your greatness, think of Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever, and stand tall and roll your shoulders back and smile and remember that you were already born more than enough the day that you were born. Stop waiting on the rest of the world to tell you so. Again, this is Miss P. Sending you guys much love, success, and support energy your way. You and your families, please stay healthy, stay safe. Talk soon. Later.